Have you ever gotten a notice that says city officials are coming to inspect your apartment?
Because sometimes people will call us when they get their notice of inspection and they're concerned about what we're looking for. And we're not worrying about how the people live there. We're worrying about that they have a clean, safe place to live.
Even if you haven't seen a notice, the city's multifamily housing inspectors visit every complex in the city to make sure they're up to par. They want Irving residents who live in multifamily housing to know what they're checking for when they come to do routine inspections. Let's start inside.
The first thing that we look for when we're in the interior of the unit is we want to make sure that the doors all have the proper locks. They should all have a keyed lock and a keyless locking device, and that will work for the front doors as well as any other passage doors in the unit that lead to the outside. Then when we're in the kitchen, we take a look at the countertops. We make sure that none of the surface on the countertop is damaged to the point, since it is a food preparation surface. If it is, they're gonna have to resurface that for health reasons. And then we take a look underneath. All of the garbage disposals have a wire clamp that keeps the wires from pulling down and possible contact with the electrical components of the wires. And then we come to the countertops, and we're gonna check every countertop, every outlet in the kitchen that serves the countertop has to be GFCI protected for ground fault circuit interrupter. So this will tell you that this tells you that it's wired correctly, and then we push the button and we make sure that in the event that it trips. And then we'll look in all the different rooms in the unit. We're going to look at the floor covering, make sure that all the floor covering is there and that it's not damaged. And then if it has a subfloor, we make sure that structurally the subfloor is working and that there's no deflection or loose boards on the subfloor. And then we take a look and we inspect all of the smoke detectors in all the units, and we make sure that they all have a battery and that they're working properly. And then in the bedrooms, we will come into the bedrooms, and once again, just looking at floor covering, and we're looking to see if there's any holes in the sheetrock that maybe would compromise the fire rating. And we make sure that there's no water leaks, any damaged sheetrock, and that all the plumbing fixtures are secured and that they're working properly. In another bedroom here, we check the same thing. We want to make sure also throughout the unit that all of the switches and the outlets all have proper cover plates on them and there's no exposed electrical wires. We'll check and make sure that the AC filter is clean so that the AC unit can work properly and it doesn't start to overwork the system. And then we'll take a look at any water heaters and make sure that there's no exposed electrical wires or overcuts in the sheetrock that would also compromise the fire rating for that part of the unit. We'll also take a look in the air conditioner. We drop down the service panel here and we'll take a look and we'll make sure that there's no exposed electrical wires there for the air handler, and then we'll make sure that there's no holes in the sheetrock that would also compromise the fire rating for this particular area.
The inspectors also check the outside of the property.
We want to make sure that all the lights are working. Lights are important, especially at dark, so that you can avoid any hazards, whether it's human or something else. We can look at these fire doors here. These fire doors are designed to be open like this. They have a magnet that will engage if there's an emergency, that will automatically shut the door down. So you want to make sure that tenants are not stuffing something down there so that these doors remain open in case of an emergency. We also test out emergency lights, making sure that these work so that in case there's an emergency that they do turn on. We also look at the stairwells, making sure that the steps don't look like they're damaged or broken so that there's no trip hazards. One of the other items we look at in the exterior is the balconies and patios. We want to make sure that we don't have any items that are not designed to be outside being left out here. Patio furniture, some toys, that's allowed to be outside, but boxes, indoor furniture such as dining room sets or sofas, those need to remain inside. Every window that opens to the outside has to have a window screen on it so that no insects can go in and out if the tenant chooses to open their window, especially in the spring or the fall when it's nice weather. On the parking lot, make sure that there's no vehicles that have damage to them, whether it's an accident or flat tires. We need to keep all these parking spaces in a manner that they can still be utilized and they don't attract the wrong attention. Pool gates must be self-latching, self-closing at all times. The way we test them, we open it up about this far, we let it go. If it latches and it closes, then no kids can get in it. The pool has to have a 4-foot wall around it, and each gap in each one of these gaps cannot be no more than 4 inches all the way around. It needs to be clear at all times. You got to be able to see the drain, and there's got to be an emergency phone as well as some emergency hook.
Multi-housing inspectors also have the power to ensure that your maintenance requests are filled in a timely manner. If you need their assistance, here's what you do.
Okay, if a resident in a multifamily property has a maintenance concern, they should first notify the property in writing. They can either hand deliver 2 copies of their service request and they can keep a signed and dated copy for their records, or they can send it to the property through certified mail. Then after the service request is received, they want to wait about 10 days, give the property an opportunity to fix any of the items that they have on the request. Then after 10 days, if the items have not been completed or they have concerns with it, they can contact the Code Enforcement Office at 972-721-4829.
The Irving Fire Department gets involved as well. They check to make sure each apartment has a working smoke detector, as well as the no barbecuing stickers on their patios.
Unattended cooking is the #1 cause of fires in Irving, and barbecues cause a lot of that.
Malone says residents should be extra careful with the added cooking they'll be doing for the holidays coming up.